Hello, welcome back to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry and this is your Wednesday video, and today we're going to do a little work at the long arm inside my home. Usually you see me in my sewing she shed, but today I am where the long arm is, which is in my living room slash dining room. I have one end of the living room here that probably was supposed to be a dining room, but we have never used it as a dining room. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and I'm not a Handi quilter educator. This is just my own experience with the Moxie XL with Pro Stitcher Lite, and maybe you will learn something if you're new at that, but I'm definitely not an expert yet. So follow along with me today as I do this small project. If you've been around for a little while, you maybe remember me taking a class and doing this square here. And this is from a line called Land of Enchantment, and it's using the agave pattern by Sari Diddy. And Sari Diddy is a moda designer, so this is not only her pattern but also her fabric line. You can certainly do an entire quilt of this, which would be gorgeous. It kind of looks like that Hawaiian applique stuff, but it's not. It's paper piecing, and she does all sorts of paper piecing types of projects, patterns, and so forth. So her name is Sarah Thomas, by the way. So this was the agave pattern by Sarah Thomas. All right, so I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do with this panel. I've just kind of been thinking about it. It's been on my design wall for a while now that I've gotten it finished, and I thought about making a large pillow. It's about 20 inches. It'll probably finish out at about 20. It'd make a nice big throw pillow or a wall hanging. I still, to this point, don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I do know that I wanted to pick a design out of my Pro Stitcher Lite program here, software, to be able to put some nice quilting on it. So I have another piece of accompanying fabric I was going to use for the back, but since I don't know if I want it to be a pillow or a wall hanging, I'm just going to use white for now. So I have a large piece of white that I've cut for the back, and either this will serve as the back of the quilting for the pillow top, or it will be the back of the wall hanging. So I could actually still add this to the back somehow as the backing for a wall hanging, but if I make a pillow, I'll just put this on the back, just like you do a normal envelope style pillow. So let me go ahead and get this attached to the long arm. I have to load this on, and although it's a tiny project, the process is much the same, other than I won't be rolling on my top because it is so small. It just wouldn't be worth the effort to do that. I'd be pinning it, and then a few minutes later I'd be unpinning it. So I'm just going to go ahead and load this on here, and I'll show you that part. I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing and maybe talk a little bit along the way. Okay, so normally what you do first is you pin on your top, but since I'm not going to pin mine on, I'm going to go straight to the backing and pin it on. And I've found my center point by making a notch, and then I have a center point notch here, not a notch, a permanent mark right here. Okay, so my next step is to get my bobbin in and my thread on. I currently have a thread that I don't want to use on there. I'm using a Superior Threads Omni in the color Natural White. It is a white, obviously, but it's not the starkest white. And the reason why is because even though this is a stark white here, I'm using a cream colored batting to kind of tone that bright white down. So I don't want to use bright white anymore. If I was using a bright white batting, I might go with the bright white, but this will kind of fade into the whites and the orange. You can't hardly even see it through the orange. Now there will be some showing on that little dark area there, but it's just a very small area. I think it'll be okay. So let me go ahead and get my machine threaded. So you're always threading from the back. So all these little holes here, you thread from the back and just follow straight down into your discs here. And sometimes you have to kind of floss through there as you're putting your thread in, and then under this bar, and then behind again on this lever, and then down through this little spring area right here. I know you can't really see this, but just kind of want to let you know what I'm doing. And then here, and there is a threader, but I cannot use it, so I just go ahead and then if you want to give yourself some slack, grab it between this bar and give yourself a little more. And then I have my bobbin already prepared. It should look like the number 9, and you stick that in there and down through that slot, and then through the little hole down here. It just kind of guides itself. So I'm going to put that in. So I don't want to stretch that too far there, but it does feel good. I'm going to go ahead and baste down the top, and as far as my sides will let me go. And then I may go ahead and roll it up and go ahead and baste all the way around, since this is small. Normally with a large quilt, you would just baste down as far as your throat space will allow, and then when you roll your quilt up, you baste some more on each side. But I can go ahead and do my top, and first I need to pull up my thread. There we go. And I'm just gonna jump down one time just to kind of hold it for me. I'm gonna knock my stitch length down to a 6, and then just slowly move it here. And then now I can go down this way. Okay, that's as far as I can go, so I'm gonna I'm going to go back the other way. Okay. So now we need to put that back to 10. I like 10. Some people like 11. Some people like 12. I just kind of like the little bit longer stitch on my quilting. Okay, so let's come over here and see if we can figure a couple things out using the Pro Stitcher Lite. First of all, what we want to do, there we go. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is establish a frame. Okay, so now we're going to establish an area, which is our space that we have to move our machine in. It will, we could start way over to the left edge and go all the way over to the right edge, but you don't really need to do that. You just need to be well outside of the stitch area. So, because we're going to establish a stitch area as well. So this is just to protect you from, running into your bars with your design, and then it would cut it off and make it flat. So let's just do a area and a frame space. So that's the top left, and then we go all the way over to the bottom right and hit frame space again. And then if we hit our little home button here, you can see that, I don't know if you can see this or not, but it established like a big red square. And then these are cross hatch lines here, and where they cross, that's where your needle is. So now we need to establish the actual stitching area. And a lot of people like to go about 1/2 inch or so bigger so that their stitches will go over the edge. You can go right up to the edge depending on the design that you pick. So I'm just going to go about 1/2 inch on the diagonal up and to the left to establish that. And then for now, I can't get my whole piece in there, but I am going to go over to the right about 1/2 inch and hit to corner, and then that established my stitch area. Okay, so now we have to pick a design, and I don't have any idea what I want to put on here. I just want to pick something kind of all over, edge to edge. A lot of things could be done with this. You could do ruler work on it. You could do free motion in all of these, or here. I thought you probably could do like straight lines in your white, and then bubbles or pebbles in your oranges, and then maybe outline this here when you get down here. I'm just not wanting to do that today. I just want to go ahead and get something on this so I can start using it, because the more custom it gets, the more time it takes. And if you're going to use your program here to do things faster, the best course would be to find an edge-to-edge design. So we have a blustery breeze. That looks kind of cool. There's a chevron. I think a chevron or anything with a lot of lines would probably compete too much with all the straight lines in this. So I'm kind of looking for something a little bit more curvy. Now this design here has like a petal design in it and a leaf design, so that might be something good to pick for this. That would be pretty cool. Flower, square, continuous. I wonder how that stitches out. Let's look at it. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I have this design in here after going through a few things that you didn't see. And this daisy, or this pointed daisy, which I think goes well with my theme here fits really nicely. This is what my whole quilt area is. And even though it has a little bit on the edge here, I think that's good, because if I do make it into a pillow, I'll have a nice amount of room to put my piping on or to sew it together. Yeah, I think this is going to be good. So we want to baseline this because that's a new design, and we also want to save it, and I'll call it, let's see what we want to call this, agave. And the reason you want to go to the trouble to do this now is because if something happens, something catastrophic happens, you have it to go back to. So you're creating a whole new design by doing that outside of what's in the library. So we'll call this, we'll call it a pillow. And save that. So now we have that. Alright, now we can start stitching. So the first thing you should do is test your tension. I will just throw a little piece over here to the side and check this out. Except I need that out from under there. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get that off and start on my actual, oops, don't want that down there, on my actual quilt. So it looks like it's going to start about there. You probably can't see that anymore. So you can see my little circle and my crosshairs need to be, it needs to be somewhere near there. It doesn't have to be exact. But I'm going to pull my thread up about there. I need a little slack. Alright, we are ready to roll. Let's go. Pro Stitcher, it's on Quilt. Let's hit run. We want to make sure all these settings are right. Normal stitching. 70% speed. That's fine. Let's make sure the needle is up and proceed. Okay, time to knot off and go to my next one. Okay, this is really going to be a risk here because My next row is right on my frame space line. My machine may let it pass, or it may say I'm out of my frame space and I'll have to start a new starting point. Roll it up and do a new starting point. But I'm going to try it and see what happens, because I am a daredevil like that. So I'm going to find my little green dot about where my design's going to start, and that's where I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread and knot it off good. I've learned that 5 times up and down is usually my best bet. Let's see what it does. Come on, come on. Yay, it's gonna let me do it. Alright, so now I'm going to have to take these off and roll this up. And I don't want to mess around on this. What I need to do is drag and drop. So let's go ahead and stick my needle down right here at the bottom of my design, and then I'm going to hit drag, and then I'm going to actually roll the quilt up. And I'm thinking, just to be sure, I'm going to go up a little more. And then drop it there. And then now I can put my needle up, come back over here to my next one. Pull up my thread, knot it, and hit resume. Okay, did you see 2 things that I forgot to do there? I forgot to baste my quilt down and put my end clamps on. So you saw me using my hand to kind of guide the fabric to stay in place. That's fine on something small like this, but if you had to do that all the way across the quilt, that would be a pain in the neck. So don't do that. I got a little excited and just wanted to get the long arming going. It happens to the best of us. So now that I have the opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and change my stitch length down and go ahead and do what I was supposed to do to start with. I'm going to change that basting stitch back up to 10, and we are ready to roll again. I got it all basted around, and then I'm going to actually pull up my thread again at my next little point there, and hit resume. And we are done. Go ahead and knot off this thread a little bit. Alrighty, let's pull it off and see what we did. Okay, here it is. I pulled it off the long arm and I've already trimmed it. And you can kind of see how our quilting looks on it. I really lucked out how this pattern fit perfectly on this square. You could see that a little more on the back. The only thing that was a little off was this square right here. It's off about 1/4 of an inch, top to bottom and left to right. It's kind of up in this corner a little too much. But I had no way to know that. You know, like if you just had a quilt with, you know, different blocks all over it, the pattern of the long arming is it's just gonna sit where it sits. So there's no way to know unless I just stopped and did that block separately, but that opens a whole nother can of worms. I think overall you're not going to really notice that, but it's really neat how those fit just perfectly in there. That was a coincidence. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened. So in case you want to know what this design is called, let me go back here and find it again. Of course, I renamed it to Agave Pillow, but on Pro Stitch or Lite, it's called Flower Square Continuous. If you want to find that on your Pro Stitch or Lite, that's what it looks like. So I didn't make any adjustments at all to the size of it. I think it was 4.5, 3.5 or 4.5. This little motif right here. I just filled it into my area that I had set, my 2-corner area, and it fit perfectly all by itself without me making it fit. So I think it turned out pretty good, and the white stitching looks fine on the orange, and it just looks kind of shadowy on the white, which is good. We like that. Turned out good. I'm glad to have this quilted up now. So I hope you enjoyed this little long arm session of a newbie trying to do something on the long arm. And hopefully in the future I'll have more videos like this, maybe where I can actually feel like I'm teaching you something. But today it was just my experience with this project, so I hope you enjoyed that. Alright, we'll see you soon back here on Finish It Friday, and then again on Monday Quilt Chat, and I'm always here for a Wednesday video like this one today. You just never know what you're going to get on a Wednesday video, so be sure you're subscribed and you get the notifications so you won't miss any of these 3 videos per week that I produce. Alright, have a great week and we'll see you soon. Bye.